Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Great Awakening Generator with me, Rose. And today we welcome Amanda Danielson from Higher Self Perspective here on the Great Awakening Generator. Welcome, Amanda.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome, and thank you so much for agreeing to talk with us. We talked a while back, probably about 3-4 weeks ago, and we've got it all together now, and we are talking. And I'm so honored that you agreed for us to talk with you on the Great Awakening Generator. I will talk about how that came about very shortly. But as we were talking off the recording, I was guided to give you some light language today. And you have opted that we do this through the recording because you had a choice. My guides had said, well, ask Amanda how we want to do the light language. And so here we go. Now I'm just going to put myself on musician's mode because normally if you do toning, the toning comes through better if you're on musician's mode in Zoom. And so Amanda, welcome. I'm inviting you and everybody watching to take a deep breath. Feet on the ground if you need to be feeling grounded, which I think you probably do, anybody watching as well. Kuloma sefele ketikule ya lavahe. La matole kula fale ketene au kanumoho. Iha ia hoa he aho. Hira hira hoa he. O karala mai na katai kufala kitana kato chupara katakata totono mokoro tadai. Kila veso kalakcha novelak na delos danamakate tapayana. Trust us, Amanda. You are the beacon where you are. Echilera kutola like a tenemo klasata tafa. Ukuru kudala likitchina kate totopa raketomoro toto raketafane kitakuromakate. Ikapalate tofaranakate chocolate nana shekla totofena. Yerokutada masotora makatafanake. Okay. Namaste. Yujibala kutafanake.
My whole body was vibrating.
So you are very honored.
Woo!
Because I don't know if you saw the move that I was doing something like that, but that was me. That was them using me to honor you. They were bowing to all of the things that you're doing. The high vibrational work, the honor is there for the fact that you have listened and you've paid heed to all that you've been guided to do. And long may this continue, and long may you go down this journey, because it is an amazing one that you took. and you are of service to the collective and in many, many, many galactic communities. So kalama chef ekenokotofara. I've got the cat. Did you hear the cat?
They were singing with you.
And he's
It was great.
he's continuing. He's continuing. So he's
I can't
obviously
hear him now, though.
yeah. I've turned off musicians mode. So he's obviously trying to grab my attention for something. Please excuse me whilst I just pause
Sure.
us and I'll come back.
Okay.
All right. I'll pause the recording.
Sounds good.
Right. So there you go. Happy cats. Couldn't wait for his food. Amanda, how do you feel after that?
My whole body was vibrating. I don't speak light language, not yet at least, or not in this lifetime, but it was more of like a frequency for me rather than understanding what the message was. And I just immediately felt calmer and like protected.
Good.
And it was really beautiful.
Good. Good.
Really beautiful.
I ask people how response to that, because it's nice to know that there's something happening, you know, because light language is so, there's a lot of even for those that do it, we are still learning about it. And so
Yeah.
you know, I just find people have very different experiences. And I'm learning that the more people hear the language, their language starts to come out. So that's a tip. So, you know, there's a lot of that on YouTube as well. I've noticed there's a lot more light language on YouTube. So if there's something
Yeah.
that,
I
right.
think I have memories of like me and my little cousins when we were young speaking another language to each other.
Yes.
And now I'm convinced we were speaking light language to each other.
Isn't
Yeah.
that awesome? Well, thank you for sharing that, because I think that's important. What you just said now is so people, it doesn't occur to people until someone comes out and say that. And so I feel that was a really good thing you shared. So
Yeah.
let's get to
Yeah.
this. Talking to you about
Okay.
higher self perspective. Please tell me about you and what work you do and what you are called. What is your title in the work that you do?
Well, I guess I would say I am a practitioner. And for the most part, I would say I am a quantum healing hypnosis practitioner, but I've kind of trained in quite a few different areas, and I'm still always, there's never a moment where I'm not in another class. I just find all of this stuff so fascinating, and I'm just really curious. And I feel like anything that can make me a little bit better at what I do is just going to benefit everybody in the long run. So any class I can get my hands on, there's always something you take away from it and you can apply to your work. So
yeah. I was looking at your website, and for everybody watching, it's higherselfperspective.com, right? I got it right. Yes. So higherselfperspective.com, and very, very apt. I notice that you are multi-skilled. You've got so many things that you do. You've got kinesiology, you're doing quantum healing, you do healing with animals. I got all of this right so far, right?
So I feel like quantum healing hypnosis can encompass a lot of different things.
Okay.
Basically, it's a type of hypnosis that rather than just focusing on healing the psyche, we are focusing on healing your entire being, your mind, body, and soul.
Wow.
And so you never know what you're going to get in a session. You never know what tool you can pull from your toolbox. And so the more you learn, the less you feel like you know. And the more sessions you end up having, you're like, oh, I don't really know about that. I'm going to go find that out. So they all kind of come in handy. I do chromotherapy, which is color therapy, thought to be from as far back as ancient Egyptian times. Beyond quantum healing, soul center healing, hypnosis, a little bit of can't think, it's been a day. A little bit of clinical hypnotherapy, all different sorts of things. And what's so great about this modality is they all are relevant. You never know which one you're going to use at what time because every client
Right.
is different and their needs are different. And so sometimes one person you'll use a little bit more of one technique and another you'll use a little bit of another. But they all just kind of flow together. It all fits well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never thought about that before, but it makes so much sense what you're saying, because you can offer somebody a session, but if you know all these different things, and it's always about, I have other people that are doing various things too, and they find out in that moment what they're calling, what modality or what skill that they know that they're calling upon, what they can bring in to a session. So it's never
Mhm.
going to be the same. I mean, we do not we expect that all sessions will be different, that you would have with all your clients, but it's obviously uniquely different. Lots of fun in the sense that you suddenly realize, oh, I need to use that, or I need to use something else, because it's so individualistic, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on where the person's at in their healing journey.
Mhm.
It depends what their intentions are for the session, what they hope to get out of it.
Yeah.
So, by understanding all these different ways to incorporate a technique, you can kind of customize the experience per person
Yeah.
and tailor it to what they need. And
Mm.
I really appreciate that because we're all different. So
Yes.
yeah, we all need
Yeah.
different things. Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, I'm curious, how did you mentioned clinical therapy. There's a little bit of clinical therapy. So did you have a background in clinical therapy or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
What's interesting though is I have always been an empath and I've always been fascinated with how the human mind works and then also who we are as emotional beings. Um, and I've always been interested in things that were abstract or the paranormal and hindsight. I mean, one of the first movies I can remember watching as a kid, which this is going to sound really bad because I was only 7 years old, but it was The Exorcist. And
Okay.
it didn't scare me. And I was just like, oh, something about that feels familiar. Um, and now I do entity releasement
Yeah,
and
I
I
saw
speak
that.
with demons and help them, help them decide if they'd like to go back to the light or not, help them remember who they are. And just looking back now, I can see how all how it all like played out, how I ended up where I am now, but how also it took me a very long time to figure out how to get here.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, nothing made sense until I found quantum healing hypnosis, and
Okay.
I was like, oh, well
Right.
that's why I did that. That's why I was interested in that, and something just sort of clicked.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. So yeah, I noticed that you do clearings. I saw that on the website. You do clearings. So I'm assuming that means you clear you. I didn't read the description of it because I was skimming through it last night just to refresh my memory so we can talk today.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm assuming that you can go to a property and do clearings of there as well. Is that what you do?
We do it in session.
Oh,
So
okay.
my sessions, I work internationally and it's all remote. It's all
Okay.
via Zoom. So I meet with clients how you and I are speaking right now via Zoom with a headset.
Yes.
And um, you would be surprised at how many things you can do in a session because we are now accessing the person's subconscious and their higher self. Um, we're able to call in people from all these different realms or spirits. We can communicate with anything that's on your land or in your house. We can do surrogate sessions with a loved one who maybe can't go under hypnosis themselves. There, there are a lot of possibilities with quantum healing hypnosis because you're getting rid of that whole time and space thing
Yes.
and you're now in the quantum where you have access to all of your soul memories. You have access to a collective consciousness. You can call upon different beings to ask questions or to ask for assistance. Um, so I work with the angelics, with the galactics, with people's ancestors, with their loved ones who have crossed over, their totem and spirit animals, whoever is going to show up that day for them to communicate with us and work in whatever they need with healing that day, whatever they're going to encounter on their healing journey during that session. Their whole team will show up and they're gathered all around us, and they'll come forward and let us know if there's a message, or they'll help us with upgrades, or they'll help us clearing energetic blockages. But I'd like to say too that it's not these other beings or myself that's doing the work for the client. All healing is self-healing. So it is actually them doing all of this. I'm sort of just a guide who knows where we should go next, or maybe some things that we should look at. So, and then we just get assistance from our team because they're on the other side. So they can help us
Yes.
with things.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. That's a very beautiful explanation of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. So I know that you say that, you work with the galactics and you work with, you know, all angelic realm and all of that. So who
Hmm.
are your personal guides? Who is it that works with you? Are you allowed to tell us?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm not even sure if I know everybody, but here is who I know of. I've had sessions with other people and they tell me that there's a lot of them. Whoever they
Yes.
are, there's a lot of people who are helping out right now. I feel very connected to Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael. Um, Kuan Yin has been a new one for me.
Yes.
Who else? One of my spirit guides is named Nada. She is a Palladian, I believe.
Yes.
Um, there I have a fairy who keeps me wrapped up in light. I have
Okay.
unicorns and dragons, and it's a whole team. It's a whole
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
I
That's
need a lot of
awesome.
help.
Do you know, it's interesting. Well, it's occurring to me now. This is it. When we were growing up and getting into this, you heard things about in my world, it was about, well, you had your guardian angels and you had Jesus and you had, you might have ancestors helping you because my journey, when I started, those are the things that I heard. And the
Hmm.
galactics were just never mentioned because obviously we are evolving to that knowledge and awareness of the galactics. And I'm finding that, like you're saying, we've got such a team. The people that we don't know, like it's amazing. I love that you know the name of your Pleiadian guide. Like I know mine is Toma, but Toma is also working with the Arcturians. And interestingly enough, I've discovered that Toma has been a Pleiadian now working with the Arcturians. And have you got a doggy there trying to talk to you?
Yes,
It's
one of
okay.
the neighbor dogs is they yell at each other from the window.
Okay, that's all right. That's
Sorry
okay.
about that.
No, it's perfectly fine. We allow for many things on this channel, so don't worry.
Good.
We
Fabulous.
have a very forgiving and understanding audience. So my Pleiadian guide then is now an Arcturian guide, and it seems like I've recently heard that I have been I had my Pleiadian self, and now recently I've come into my Arcturian self. So it's interesting, right? How the guide is even going through that motion.
Yeah.
But I feel like we have got so many beings that are helping us. And recently, my unicorns have come in. So I understand what you're saying. Some of them, we don't even know that they're here, that they're helping us. All we have to say is thank you. Thank you that you're here.
Yeah.
Thank you for whomever is helping us. And also that we are now able to communicate with the guides and the beings that look after other people too. Because there was a time, I know, we were told, oh, you have to ask for permission for that. And now you know,
to like speak to somebody
somebody
else's
else's
team.
team, right? But now the other person's team's already speaking to us before we can even ask for permission,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
When I wake up in the morning, the day of a session, I can already start to feel the client's higher self there.
Yes, yes.
They'll already, sometimes even the night before, will send me like a little nudge, like, hey, look at this. I need you to, like, you got to read that. It's going to help you for tomorrow, kind of a thing.
Oh wow.
Um, so I don't know. I don't know where some of these rules come from. I think as long as we aren't doing any harm and aren't taking away anybody's free will, um, I think it's okay. I
Yeah,
think
because it's
sometimes
a lot
we
about
get a little too
love.
rigid. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and you're right. It's a lot about love because you talked about the surrogate. You mentioned the surrogate healing
Mhm.
session, right? And
Yes.
I read a little bit about it. So tell us a little bit more about that, because coming to this point, we're just talking about connecting with other people's team and spirit or squad.
Sure.
Tell us about this.
Or
Tell
let
us more about it. Yeah.
let me just briefly describe what a session is like first.
Okay.
So, um, what we begin doing is it's hypnosis. I'm sure people can sort of imagine what that's like, but it's not stage hypnosis, that kind of cheeky, um, gimmicky, you are getting sleepy. Basically, all it is we're relaxing the body and then we relax the mind and we take you a little deeper and get you even more relaxed. And we get you so relaxed that you're in the theta brainwave state, which is the state that you are in right before you fall asleep and right before you completely wake up. And some people might recognize this as, sometimes you'll hear things or notice things that aren't quite there right when you're falling asleep. You can hear other voices or see flashes or images of things. That's in the theta brainwave state where you're accessing your subconscious. So you have moved over the ego and now you're accessing the subconscious, which your subconscious has access to all of your soul memories. So your subconscious is your consciousness, which is everything, right? And our ego is normally what blocks us
Yes.
from
Yes.
always connecting to that. So you relax the body, you relax the mind. And then we would do a clearing to make sure. I believe we live in a parasitic universe at the moment, and there are entity attachments on most people. So we make sure the client is nice and clear. And then once the client is clear, we make sure their chakras are balanced and their aura is sealed. Usually entities get in because there's an opening in the aura, which can be caused by trauma or pain, things like that. So we make sure they're all sealed up, and then we would travel to another lifetime. Um, Spend about 20 minutes doing that. And usually you're going to see a lifetime that is somehow relevant to your current life now. Something that maybe has carried over from another lifetime that is still affecting you today. And it's pretty incredible how people will see the most relevant lifetime,
Okay.
because before our session, we speak for about an hour, hour and a half, and I get all your history. And I'm kind of like playing detective, seeing what's going on. What are your symptoms? What is your history? Trying to paint a little picture so I know what we might need to do in session for your healing that day. And it's incredible what we generally talk about it before the session tends to come up. That, they're having an issue with something that doesn't make any sense to them. And then when we get to the other lifetime, it makes sense now because it's something that has carried over. And then after that, we go to the higher self healing portion. You put together up to 10 questions that you'd like to ask your higher self. So we take you even deeper. You connect and ask for your higher self to come in. We start asking questions. We go through a checklist. We do healing and upgrades. Um, Michael and Raphael help with that. Kuan Yin helps with that. Your higher self helps with that. And it's generally, I forgot where I was going. How did this start? I'm telling you, I'm
You
sorry.
were
It's been a
going,
long
that's
day.
okay. That's okay. And I understand you've had quite an experience today that's put you in a relaxed mode. And then
Yeah.
we were going to talk about the surrogate.
Okay. So in this portion of the hypnosis session, there is an option to do a surrogate part. We need to Generally, it would be somebody's second or third session, because you cannot do a surrogate session for somebody else unless you are completely clear. Because I
Yes.
believe if you have anything attached to you, there's no point in going to another lifetime. There's no point in healing anybody else. Actually, you have no business healing anybody else. If you have something else messing with your filter, messing with the
Okay.
information flowing in, what you're seeing, we can't trust. What you're saying, we can't trust. So the surrogate session is generally, the ones I do are parents, and their children are too young. I think a lot of kids right now can't handle the density of Earth. So that's a lot what I'm seeing. Sometimes maybe the kids might be on what's quote unquote on the spectrum. I believe it's something entirely different, but you can do a session for an elderly parent. But the thing is, free will comes in here. So you need to either be the one who makes decisions for that person you're doing a session for, like they need to be your child who's under a certain age, or you are now the caregiver and maybe your elderly parent, their memory's not there anymore. But you know they need a clearing, you know they need a healing. They just aren't actually able to go into session for themselves. So instead of doing the higher self portion for yourself, we would call in the higher self of the person who the surrogate session is for.
Yes.
So we would call in the team of your child or your parent, and we would do a full body scan like we just did and clear any attachments or entities. Make sure there are no blockages in the energetic body, make sure they're all nice and sealed up and their chakras are open and spinning it as they should be. And then we can ask questions, is there anything I can do to make my father feel more comfortable, like in this last stage of his life? Is there anything I can do to better communicate with my child because they have trouble communicating at this stage in life? Things to be of assistance to that person that you are doing the session for.
Right.
So
Wow.
you can do it for your animal. We do clearings on people's pets.
Yes.
Someone recently did a clearing on their horse. I do a lot of clearings on people's dogs. We get a lot of questions like, my cat just broke its leg or something happened to its back. Like, is it doing okay? Is there anything I can do to help it make it feel more comfortable or help it heal quicker? So a lot of animals. FOMO's my dog that you heard barking. She is like my assistant. I call her my POFIS
Yes.
assistant. And she is here for all of my sessions. Yes.
Oh, wow. Our
Yeah.
pets, eh? They're just amazing. They just know what to do.
Yeah. They do.
Hmm. So I think that's absolutely beautiful. It's non-invasive. It's got a thing of, okay, I must be that person who has to make decisions for this person from time to time or all the time. And I want to be able to help them in a better way, or to help them live life right now with more
Mhm.
understanding of what their needs are. So really, that's a really beautiful thing to do. It does not invade
Yeah.
anyone's space, really. It's so from
Right.
higher perspective, isn't it? For want of a better word.
Yeah, and let's say this person, you aren't the one making their decisions. Sometimes the person who's receiving the surrogate session might be too physically ill, because we're doing a lot of really big energetic work on the body and sometimes
Mm,
releasing years and years worth of traumas. And sometimes it can be too much for the system. And so I've had people who couldn't go under because maybe they are battling cancer right now. So they'll have like a sibling. It generally should be somebody with a strong heart connection to the person. So one
mm,
of their siblings will go under and do the session for them. And we can talk to
okay.
their team, like, are they making the right decisions for their treatment? Whatever
Mm,
questions you want to ask. But it doesn't have to be where you're always the decision maker for the person. It can just be, for whatever reason, that person can't do the session themselves,
okay.
but we need their permission if they are of good health in mind.
Okay.
If they're making their own decision, we need to have their permission to do the session. So I just wanted to
Okay.
clarify that. We can't
That's
just
good.
go start doing sessions on everybody we
Yeah.
know and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Um, so thank you. You've explained what you do so well and easily. I'm going to come back to the history of this for you personally, because I know
Okay.
you went back and you talked about the movie when you were younger, a 7-year-old watching the Exorcist and all of that. But tell me,
Yeah.
like, I was so fascinated with you the first time we talked because you're so young and you look younger than you are, and we won't be talking about age now, but I'm just sharing my thoughts. Um,
I'm the big 4-0. I just turned 40. I am proud of it. I will scream it from the rooftops.
Wonderful. So I know our audience are going to agree that's not what we thought, how old we would have, thought you are. Um, and you're so youthful sounding as well, so you sound very young, and that's beautiful. And I remember the time when I pointed that out to you and we were talking, you said, oh, your grandmother had the same thing, she looked younger than her age. I'm sure you mentioned something like that. So I'm going to have to say it's not in the water, it's in the genes.
I think some of it's genetic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I drink like a gallon of water a day. That
Okay.
might have something to do with it.
Good. Good. We have to keep ourselves well and hydrated. Now,
Always.
coming back to your history, because how did you come to how did you come to this point of doing the work you're doing, right? Because surely it didn't, after high school, it didn't go to energy healing, or quantum hypnosis. What has the journey been like? And even if you tell us a little bit about the, growing up as a child, anything that sticks
Mhm.
out that we should be aware of, because I feel like, I really feel my energy is picking up very much that you've come, obviously you've come here to do this, but I feel like perhaps you have been quite intuitive, quite at a young age. So tell us about that.
I mean, what I would say my journey was sitting here today and what I maybe would have described it as 5 years ago are two different things because I have a different perspective and things make a little more sense. But if we were 5, 10 years ago and you were asking me what my journey had looked like, it would have been I was always searching for something. I feel like I have lived 10 different lives in this one lifetime. I have
Yes.
had different careers and lived all over the place, different cities, and all these different experiences. And it was like I was always searching for home and I could never find it. I'd get there and I'd be like, this is it. This is the place. This is the new career. And I'm like, this isn't it. It was never it. And that's how I kind of ended up here. That eventually brought me to my biggest and deepest and most terrible dark night of the soul, because I've had others before. I just didn't know what they were. And in my dark night of the soul, I ended up finding one of my friends had a quantum healing hypnosis session with a lady by the name of Heather from Quantum Healing Within. And she let me listen to her session. And I was like, what is this? And one thing just led to another. And then before I knew it, it became my life. It was all consuming. It's all I wanted to learn. It's all I wanted to focus on. It was like, I think I found my thing. I think this is my purpose. It feels so good. And everything just started making sense. Not saying there weren't challenges, it's a difficult journey. I think even when you do find what your purpose is or find your mission, you still have stuff to work through.
Absolutely.
Like, um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, I think it was that longing for home. And I think a lot of other star seeds can identify with
Absolutely.
this place is so bizarre
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
This realm is rather strange and it doesn't always feel like home.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
I I understand that fully. I've never quite felt like I belong here this lifetime. I can't speak for others, but I've been here many times, but this is the lifetime that I felt. Don't know what I'm
Yeah.
doing here. And you would be probably the second or third person that's told me this line. I think I've lived many lifetimes in this one lifetime. Somebody just said that to me yesterday as well. And I think even for me, and perhaps this is the thing about the journey at the moment, because I had confirmation of this. I wondered about my life, and then somebody who channels the Arcturians basically came out and said to me, Rose, you've had more, like, you are currently living 3 of your lifetimes in one,
Oh,
and I didn't think that was possible, but
hmm,
and I guess it makes sense when you think about how
that's
fast,
interesting.
how many different careers you tried, how many different things you were supposed to think, oh, I should go that way, or I should go this way. Perhaps it's all of that coming together now so that you sort of deal with whatever it is. It's probably coming from something unfinished from a past life or another dimension, and you're tying the knot here and tidying it up and saying, right, that's it, done. Went down that track, worked out it's not going to work out, and that means, okay, yeah, right, I've got my piece about that thing, and then I'm moving on to, okay, so what is next? So
Yeah.
who knows, eh? Because we don't have all of the
One,
information.
right. One thing that I never thought would come in handy in my life would be working in all these different industries and having all these little mini versions of a career now and living all over the place. It's now I relate to my clients because I've had all these different experiences with and what seems like all these different lifetimes in one, and it's very easy to relate to them. And I'm like, I know exactly
Yeah.
what you're talking about. I had a brief moments of that this
Yes.
one time, and it all ended up coming in handy when I
Yes.
just thought it was a hot mess.
Exactly.
It
Exactly.
wasn't.
Everything was
Yeah.
relative and relevant. And I find, because I know for a long, just coming back to that, for a long time when I had that experience, I felt like, oh my gosh, because the people around me were like, why don't you just settle down in one place, make up your mind, stay there and do their thing? Like, you're just all over
No.
the place, and it's not very
Boring.
successful, is it? You're not showing a lot of stability in your personality. Even companies that you go for interviews with, if you get interviewed and they say, so how many years did you stay in that job? And if you say, oh, I was there for 12 months and then I was in the other one for another 6 or whatever, they start
Mhm.
to wonder about, do you have stability? Can you provide security? And they sort of, in some ways, by expressing things like, why do you want to change so many times? What assurance do we have that you'll stay in our job, in the job that we're offering you, because you seem to change around a lot?
Yeah. Are
You
you
might,
reliable?
exactly.
Yeah.
But we are here for a higher purpose. And I really like that we spoke about this, because if anybody is going through that at the moment, we're saying it's okay.
Yeah.
Do it. Be the you
Absolutely.
that you came to be. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
this will
Absolutely.
result in the ultimate you that you need to be here in this time and space. And it's not far away.
It's not far away.
Not
Even
far away.
if I've noticed a lot of my clients and friends are all becoming small business owners
Yes.
because that allows them the time freedom to dive into their mission or at least figure out what that is or spend more time doing the shadow work and
Yeah.
healing and
Yeah.
figuring out these life's mysteries.
Yes.
So I've noticed there's been this massive movement towards entrepreneurship and small business. Um, and that's kind of the direction I went as well before my most recent Dark Night of the Soul.
Mm.
I was like, well, if I can't find the career, I'll just make one up.
Yes. Yes.
Figure it out along the way.
Yeah, and it's like it takes a while if your mind is set on, I have to be out in the corporate world, and I speak again from my experience, right? Because oh no, I've got to have, it's only, I've got to be in the corporate world, I've got to have that thing because that brings the money or whatever. It's only in the last couple of months that I've started to see, actually you have to create this, Rose. If the corporate world is
Mm,
not working and not inviting you back into it, and even when they're inviting you back into it, think about how much you have to go through to be there and to survive in that environment. And where you
right.
are now, can you cope with that? Like, so you understand that. I know that you understand
Yeah.
what I'm saying about it. So I think it's the beginning of the age of Aquarius. There will be a lot of breaking down and building up. And this is why we are seeing we need to create it for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even I think it's starting with we are being broken down so we can kind of rebuild ourselves and rebuild in a different way, and then we'll be able to break down the systems and rebuild the systems. But you're not going to get much done until you start looking within and healing and remembering who you are, and all those other cliche things you hear over and
Yeah.
over again, but you hear them over and over again because it's true.
Yeah, and sometimes we don't want, we're like, oh my gosh, we sound like a broken record now, whatever. But
I know.
actually, has to be done.
True.
Has to be done.
True.
Yeah, I really like that. I love that you're sharing this part of yourself, because there's so many people going through the uncertainty at the moment. And it's important that people realize that it's always okay. And if anybody is thinking they want to go solo, they want to do it on their own, they want to start up their thing, just go for it. The last 3 years has been a blessing in many ways. I know some people are thinking, what do you mean? But it actually started us looking inward and making sure how are we going to navigate life with all that happened in our world when systems broke down and all of that, things we knew that would always work wasn't working suddenly. So Amanda, what now? I'm thinking about if I asked you all of the questions. So I want to say at this point, I'm just running that through my head at the moment, but I want to say at this point, you have a very amazing squad of people, beings that look after you. And they actually called me to you. We were on I found you on the NZ Healers site that came through the People's Health Alliance. And so there's another facet of the People's Health Alliance, the PHA. And if anybody wants to know, the PHA, or People's Health Alliance, started in England last year by a lady called Catherine McBean. And it's basically an organization that supports for the people, by the people. And when they were having struggles to get into appointments at the NHS, which is the National Health System in the United Kingdom, they were starting to create little hubs for people to be able to see practitioners on Zoom. They were having these little Zoom meetings and making that available at either free or very reasonable prices for people to see a practitioner who's certified, etc., like, with acupuncture, Reiki, or whatever, to have a consultation and go from there with how they actually navigate being well, because the NHS was quite inflated with all these people on waiting to be seen because of all the illness that was going on at the time. And so this People's Health Alliance has taken off, and they're now in more than 28 countries. And they were in more than 28 countries, I think, already in February last year, before they even became they had the first birthday. And so it continues at the moment. And so then all these other organizations, or it has a lot of offshoots to it, like the People's Food and Farming Alliance became a part of that. And now the NZ Healers has become a part of that. And when I found your posting on the NZ Healers site, I thought, oh, this is an interesting one. I looked at your profile picture and I could see angels. And I thought, whoa, okay, I think we have to talk to this lady. It's calling me to this. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I looked at the number and I thought, okay, so she's in the United States, because, Great Awakening Generator as being created, my guides asked me to create the Great Awakening Generator for people to be interviewing people here in, New Zealand and Australia, this part of the world, is Southern Hemisphere, really. But I had this idea that anybody that I resonated with, that I'd learned from, any teacher that I'd learned from, that I would take the opportunity to invite them to come and talk on the Great Awakening Generator, because I have come to where I am. I have knowledge and I have done my journey with a lot of the inputs of these people, on watching their YouTube channels, etc. Like I did a lot of Abraham Hicks, like in 2015, 2016, 2017. and I did a lot of that manifestation work. And then I listen a lot to Steve Noble and Tim Wilde, because I really look forward to the chronicles that Tim Wilde is doing, and Steve's doing all these meditations, because it's reaching out to people online in all parts of the world, like, to remove, to work out whether you have implants in your body, or settle down in terms of having twin flame healing, all that kind of thing. These are Steve's meditations. And so I just thought it'd be great to have these people on board. And so I'm happy to talk on the Great Awakening Generator to people outside of Australia and New Zealand. So this is, and when I found you and your guides were saying, this is the one you need to talk to, I thought, well, I'm going to invite you. And we are, we are the better for this, because I'm like amazed at what you're doing. And I love how easy it is, and how you're such an inspiration to me, and I'm sure to many other people watching whenever they watch it, because it's showing that we can create our lives. And if we just go with the instinct that and the intuition and the guides that they will show us. And I'm learning that a lot now, a lot more now than I've ever learned, to listen to the guides, because for a long time I couldn't hear them. I was in a dark night of the soul where they were shut off from me. I was deaf to them. I could not hear them.
That happened to me too.
Yeah. And so, and I'm coming out of it at the moment. And now they're suddenly telling me things like, I could hear it for other people, but for me personally, I couldn't hear it.
I call it going dark.
Yeah, really dark. It was.
It's like this test period. They want to, but you're testing yourself, because you designed this life.
Exactly.
But I think it's such an interesting phase in this journey, because normally the first thing that happens is you panic. Like, I would get all of my messages and everything that I needed in my sleep state.
Okay.
No more dreams. No more dreams. I was like, wait, what?
Tell me about it.
That's how you tell me what to do. Like, what do I do? And it was basically like, you're being thrown out of the nest, and like, figure it out. Figure it out.
My gosh.
And what are you going to do with it? And it's definitely like, not for the weak of heart.
No, not at all.
No.
We know when we're ready to go through that. That's probably why we allow it into our world, right? And I've been going through it since about 2018, so mine lasts very long.
Oh wow!
And prior to that, I went through it in 2000 and between 2008 and 2011. I went through one of those as well. And then I feel like even when I came through that first one where I couldn't hear them, I sort of carried on with life and things got better. But somewhere I didn't quite hear all over again, because other voices were there. The people around me were there. And so other voices were there. And it was almost like it was deliberately done, that these other voices will come in and be dominant, for me to really, in this time, find the true voice and make sure I never lose. Gosh, it just doesn't make sense sometimes, but it was like I followed the voice. The replay was other voices, even though I'd come out of that, because what had happened was I'd come out of it, and it came out in terms of materially, I was taken care of. The material, the financial abundance I needed appeared, because it was the financial lack that that sort of snapped me into it. And it was a financial abundance situation got fixed, but it was replaced with other replays. And then 2018, that was like probably the worst I've been. And 2021, 22, 23 have been like the worst years of my life. And and it's due to the dark night of the soul. And now I'm coming through that. And again, when it's not about talking about me here, it's talking so that other people hear it, because you know what you just said now, I've only started hearing that other people have gone through what I'm talking about. I've only started to hear people talk about it in the last month or so, because nobody was saying it. I thought I'm the only one going through that. And I thought, oh my gosh, no one else is saying it. Why am I does it make sense? Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm actually really glad this came up, because it was something that I wanted to talk about today. How sometimes we go through these periods and it's generally your dark night of the soul. And I had a hard time during that period because A, I was cut off from any sort of guidance I would normally get. B, this was the big one. This was the big one that totally uprooted, flipped your life upside down, like the darkest of the dark. But you feel like you're doing something wrong. And so I didn't really know who to look at or who to turn to or who to watch. There was so much information online. And at that point, I couldn't differentiate between what was my own stuff I was going through or what was the collective or what were these energy waves coming through. And so I started, once I could figure out the difference, I was like, well, I've kind of figured it out a little bit. Maybe now I can share that with other people. And so now I update like my clients and my friends on Telegram, and a little bit on TikTok and Instagram, and let them know, hey, this is what's going on with solar weather. This is what's going on with this. This is what I feel coming from the collective, just to remind them you're not doing anything wrong, just so they can see too that, all right, is this me? Or could that be that CME that just hit Earth, and be able to tell the difference, because A, I thought I was dying. B, I had no idea when these big things would be released with the collective and it would like run through me. I thought I was a goner. I had no idea what was going on. None of it made sense. And I'm like, this hurts so bad. Why am I so sad? And it's because you're feeling everything. And
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think one of the things that I wanted to say today is I think we're going through a big purging right now. And it's been a little rocky for people. I think it's going to last maybe a few more weeks. I'm not quite sure, but it kind of feels like we're peaking. And so I'm doing a free event for anyone who'd like to join, where you come, it's online, you show up with a pre-prepared letter of all the things that you are ready to let go of, every single piece of baggage, everything that maybe you didn't get to address the last one of these cycles that have come through. Get it all down on paper, and we're going to burn them in the comfort of our own home. We don't have to read them. We are going to burn it, because I hear it a lot in sessions. People's higher selves say, we want you to write down all that stuff. Write it all down, write it in a letter, burn it, and then drop it in water. And so I'm like, let's do a big one. And I think it's all going to end in the next few weeks. So I plan something for the middle of August, and let's do it together. Let's burn all that stuff that we're still for some reason holding on to.
Yes.
And just let it all go. Because I think it's happening right now and we can all feel it.
Absolutely. You were just spot on with what you're saying about what's happening at the moment. Also, we've got a lot of light coming. The Sirius portal has been open since the 3rd of July. It's just, and now we've gone into Lion's Gate. I think from the 26th of July, we've gone into Lion's Gate. And
today, it's the 26th here where I am.
Yeah.
So it just started today for me.
Just started. Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's perfect. What you're saying makes absolute sense. And thank you that you're so generous to offer something like this for the collective for free. We will put a link to that if you already have one. If not, we can always put it when you're ready, so that people can click on there and they can join the event. Wow, that's just amazing. I love how you explain that, because I know in the last year, I have felt like I don't want to be here. I've wondered what the heck I'm doing here. So when you're going through all of that, and also the sadness, waking up in the morning and thinking, why do I feel so blah? And nothing, is my life that bad? I mean, yeah, I know that things are not working out as I thought they would, but is it that bad? So we forget that we're picking up the energies of the collective. And so just remind yourself, everybody watching, if you're feeling like that, this is what's going on. For me, one of the things that worked in this last year is I went on a hiatus from about August last year till about January this year. I stopped listening to the teachers on YouTube. I only picked out the ones that were going to be uplifting me. I asked my guidance system, and I say they don't speak to me, but they obviously did. We say they don't, but they do. Do you know, like there's some things you can get through that comes in. And
Right.
I've written some journal notes in August last year, and this is why I was just reminded. I was reading my journal and it came up, and this is why I remembered the hiatus that I chose. In the journal notes, I worked out. I'd done a meditation, and I worked out that I was going to be working with the Arcturians, who I am working with at the moment in other aspects, and I worked out that I was going to work with the Arcturians, but also I had already been working with the Arcturians, but now I was working with the Arcturians on my own, not with a group of people, because previously I'd done that with a group of people. But I wrote after my meditation that I had to take a hiatus from YouTube. I had to only pick those things that were going to be for upliftment and meditation. It takes me into the meditative space and with those trusted teachers, not just anybody. I don't do meditations with just anybody.
Me neither.
And yeah. And then I went back to doing radio because I'd done radio for many years now. I'm a volunteer radio announcer locally where I live at the community radio station. And by the way, it's called East FM if anyone is curious. Always promoting it. And I've done it for like the last 15 years. And then in 2021, I wasn't allowed in there because I did not have a COVID passport. And so at the end of July, I was allowed back in. And when I got there, I just didn't feel like I wanted to be there. And I asked the guide, so where do we go to with this? Do we just can it? Because I actually felt like I was going to, hey, I could take this or leave it. I'd been broadcasting from home, and I don't like broadcasting from home on radio because of all the technology and all of that. It's a lot of stress. And as you can see, the cat was crying. The dog is trying to get in the door at the moment. All that. So, that was highly stressful. But anyway, they had said to me then, you need to stay at radio. And I said, well, I'll stay if I can interview people to talk about higher purpose for the collective, anything that's higher purpose for the collective. And they just gave me 2 people that kept sending me more and more people to talk on radio. And I remember now, after all of this time, because when I started the YouTube channel, I thought, where did that come from? But I remember now, in the last, say, month or so, they had said to me, get it off, do radio, and YouTube's going to take off from there. And that's exactly what's happened. And so, you see, that was for me, but more for the collective is what I was thinking, but it's for me. Anyway, because I'm the conduit for that, right? But I talk about that because I want to say we must, and I don't even know, I can't remember where I was going to with this now, but
it's this day, I'm telling you.
It's important to do the hiatus from the things that are not working out for us. It's important to take yourself away because, I suddenly had people coming into my space and there was so much stuff. And I thought, I don't really want to invite that into my energy fields, because I am trying to keep myself sane through all the noise that's going on. And I don't do energy. Well, for me, I feel I have no energy healing to offer because I do light language. And I've discovered since that healing comes from light language, wisdom and knowledge and understanding, and answers come through it. But I don't offer it as a business or anything like that. I offer it as a gift because that's what I'm guided to do at this point. So anyway, I come back to follow your heart. Talk to the guides. We know that this works, right? Yeah. So please tell me, I'm going to get up and answer that door because the dog won't stop. And
I can't even hear it.
I can. So okay. I'm not going to stop the recording. I'm just going to walk away and come back. So bear with me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Have a seat. Go and have a seat, and I'll come back and give you something because you've been so good. All right, I'll give you a treat.
No treats until we're done.
It turns around and is like, "Oh, you think you should feed me?" He's licking his lips and chops, and then like, okay, yeah. And it's like, no, you can wait there. You don't need to have a treat just because I said, because I let you in. You should give me a treat for letting you in.
I keep a bag on my desk in case
Yes.
she gets a little
Yeah.
testy with me, but she's
Yeah.
sleeping right now. My
Oh,
dog
good.
he's like kind of really blended into this whole like healer's assistant position that she's rocking right now.
Awesome, because I'm
Yeah.
finding Baxter, as soon as I go to do my accounting work, he gets very agitated. And he comes to me and he sniffs at me and he's like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And but as soon as I do this, because he's been outside for all the time we've been speaking. It's
Oh.
only now that the weather's changing, it's starting to rain and getting a bit cold. He's asked to come in. And and what he does is he taps at the door so that I know he wants to come in. So, how good is
Like
that?
with his paw?
Yes, with his paw.
That's cute.
Yes.
Wow.
So, and I could hear it now that, oh, let me bring him in because I can see that the weather's changing. We've had quite changeable weather and it's bitterly cold at the moment. And then suddenly it turns to be really hot. So it's
Hmm.
like you can have 4 seasons in a day. But Amanda, I am trying to
Yes.
rack my brain about anything else I didn't ask you because I know I was talking about some of my stuff as well, but I like that it's conversational and I like that we can share
Yeah.
that way. Um, what else is there that you would like to tell us that I have not asked you? You told us how you operate, you told us where you operate. We will
Yeah.
put your web address in the description box. You can give me any other information you want for me to put in the description box so people can contact you. And
Yes.
if they feel they want to have your amazing healing, and I think what you're offering is amazing. But is there anything else you think you want to share here with our community? And are the guides
Sure.
asking for anything to be told or shared?
So I don't like speak with my team the same way that I think maybe you do, where you actually get messages. Mine are usually I get kind of nudged or stuff
Okay.
will come in front of me and like that's kind of the message. Unless they're like that kind of nudge where they're pushing me off a cliff and they're like, pay attention. Sometimes that happens if like
Yes.
if I'm not getting it. So I think we talked about like how I believe that the collective of humanity right now is going through this purge. So I just wanted to say that this is such a beautiful time because
Yes.
we can let go of anything weighing us down right now. And I mean, this is what I do every day for a living, helping people reprocess their trauma. And I am telling all of my clients right now, like, figure out a way to sit with some of that stuff, just acknowledge it, try to understand it or see it from another perspective so you can finally release it this time so it doesn't come back up next time. And so I think that's been the biggest thing is like this is a beautiful opportunity, even though it doesn't feel very comfortable right now. It's not enjoyable. It's been pretty emotional, been a very emotional time. Take full advantage of it because then it'll get a
Yeah.
little easier next time. Um, but yeah, I think that was it for today. I really didn't know what to expect
Okay.
or um but I would just say like you can use all these different fancy names for the modalities that I use or call me a quantum healing hypnosis practitioner. It's very wordy, but I would just say that I help people reprocess trauma and connect in with their higher self and their team and help them remember who they are or who they were in other lifetimes because I think all of our lifetimes are now coming into play right now. I hear a lot in sessions that this is the most important moment in human history right now. I'm sure if anyone's watching your show, they agree with that. And
Absolutely.
yeah, how how you mentioned earlier today that a lot of people have been saying that they feel like they've lived 10 lifetimes in just this one. I think things are merging. I think there's a
Absolutely.
lot of cool stuff going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't really have a title for myself. Of course, I have something so I can put it on my website, but I wouldn't even call myself a healer. I would just say I kind of can sit with somebody and hear what their life has been like, hear what they're in the process of working on right now and where they'd like to be in the future. And I have just this ability to kind of look at things from a different angle to where I can recognize the patterns. I can tell that I think this sounds like it's karmic or past life, or I can tell I think you have an entity attached right there. And we're just basically getting you all cleaned up. It's like a spring cleaning for your body. It's a spring cleaning. So we can get you past whatever like roadblock you're at, whatever, because we come to these points sometimes in our on our healing journey where you feel kind of stuck and you feel like you don't really know where to go next, or you're not quite sure what that next step is. And sometimes it's nice to see somebody who doesn't know you, who can look at things from another angle and help kind of nudge you in the right direction. And so I would say that's more of what I do than I'm a healer. It
So,
feels weird to say
yeah,
that.
as you were speaking, now I'm going to say this because I just feel like I've been feeling a lot of warm energy on my back and in the middle of my chest.
Mm,
And so I pick up stuff that's coming from you in terms of what your energy is offering to me. So I feel already like you just being here and talking to me is affecting me in positive ways. And I'm having this experience a lot now when I speak to people, and their energy is working with me, sort of like sending me healing, sending me love, all of those things. I'm feeling a lot of it when I speak to people, but I've had a lot of this happening now in the last half an hour. So I think I need to say that to you. And it's, I guess, people watching it will understand what this feels like, because we're not even in an energy healing session. We're not doing any quantum hypnosis or anything, but I'm feeling it. I'm actually feeling it right now. What I feel, Amanda, to say this is um, I'm going to support what you were saying and saying to people, this is a good time to be alive. And I know that some people are, and I was there too, where we were saying, what the heck am I doing here? Why did I choose to be here in this time? Like, and
mhm.
where are you guides? Why aren't you talking?
I still have those days.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. And
Hmm.
remember, because we pick up energy from the collective as well, so we will still have those days.
Yeah.
But what we're going through as well is that we're getting a lot of downloads from the universe. We're getting a lot of Schumann resonance. We're getting all of those things coming through. The portals of light have been open because of the work we have done all this time, because many of us have been doing the work. We've been doing the work on ourselves, all that meditation we're doing, all the mindfulness practice, all of that we've been doing. It's now that more and more people are doing it, so there's more and more energy coming down. So all of this that we're going through, we've created, in terms of light coming down, in terms of experiences, be they negative or positive. The point is, those are the ways that each of us are individuals in how we learn, right? So you and I can have the same experience. How it impacts you is very different of how it impacts me, right? And
Yeah.
so our high self knows this. Our guides know this. We know this. That's why we're creating situations. But I want to come back to the fact that we have to be easy with ourselves, and we have to remember that right now the key is self-love. Be self-indulgent. Nothing is wrong with that.
Hmm.
It's
I
an
was just talking
absolute
about this
must.
today. Yeah.
It's an absolute must, right? Because
Hmm.
this is how we navigate. And imagine being told you will navigate this if you love yourself better. Because when you love yourself better, you can be everything that you need to be to all those outside of yourself, right?
Oh,
Plus,
Rose. Rose is a psychic.
I'm not.
This has
I'm
been
not.
the theme of the day. I swear, this
Okay.
has been the theme of the day. Yeah, and you're picking up on it. Yeah,
Oh, great.
that's great.
Now, what I pick up from you and what you were saying, Amanda, I know that you're saying healer feels weird and there isn't one
Yeah.
title. I feel that is okay, that there isn't a title as such, because there's not meant to be a title.
Mm.
What comes to my mind right now is galactic warrior. And I know galactic warrior has not been in the psyche of people on the planet right now. Okay, but it's coming.
Mm.
You have been multidimensional. You have done the work multidimensionally. You continue to do work multidimensionally when you go into the sleep state. And so therefore, when you're here, you're doing all of these things. So that's okay. There will never be, for all of us that are here to be the way showers, to be, because remember, we've done a lot of work to be where we are now. People that are awakening may not do as much as we have done, because they're going to be awakening a little bit more advanced in their awakening because of all the work and what we have been doing to bring the collective to this point. Okay. I think you know this. I think you understand this. Intuitively, you resonate with what I'm saying at the moment, right?
Absolutely, for
yeah.
sure.
And so it means that we cannot be given one title, because we've been so many different things in so many different realms, in so many different dimensions. We are not. And this is what's coming to the forefront. The way showers cannot be called one thing. And I know I said way showers. We're not even going to be called way showers. So, so if that makes sense. Yeah, if that makes sense. So,
I do feel like a warrior. I believe that I am on Archangel Michael's. I'm part of his army. And there are a lot of us here, and our numbers are growing. I think when I first started this work and I would encounter darker entities attached to people, it was very combative, very aggressive. I mean, you can go on my TikTok and look, a demon broke my French door behind me.
Wow.
They were from another country. That's how intense it was. But now something has shifted.
Yes.
Something has shifted, and these dark entities, who I think humans, or we would call demons, that's probably what they would call themselves as well, but I think it's just like a human term for what they are. They're not fighting anymore. They're done. They're tired. They want to go back home. They just think that they couldn't, that they've been lied to, just how we've all been lied to.
Yes.
And something has shifted, and they're ready to go back to the light if they're allowed, but a lot of them don't know that they're allowed yet. And so every single day, every single session, every single practitioner that does entity work, they're all starting to see that shift where the light is growing in numbers, and their dark's army is getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yes.
Very hopeful.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was Jesus, when he was in the physical, that said, you cannot hide a light under a bushel. Meaning you cannot light bushel, meaning a bush, a rose bush or whatever. So, because even if you put a light under a bush, can you see it? Imagine that. You can still see the light coming through the bush, right? You can't hide it. You can't, even if you put it under a cloth, the light still comes through.
Right.
And this is what I've said this to so many people this last week. This is what it is. Light cannot be hidden. It covers everything, including darkness. Darkness cannot hide light. There is the difference here. Mm-hmm. And so this is what we have to do. Keep holding the light, keep being the light, keep expressing the light, because we are the light.
Mm-hmm. That's
so Amanda,
almost word for word what I say in my angelic sessions.
Okay.
The angels, you're with your guardian angel, and the guardian angel says to you, now it's time, because we go to the angelic realm. Now it's time to go back to earth. Now it's time to go back and spread your light, spread all your light to everyone you see, everyone you meet. And that's exactly what you just said.
Yep. Now I want to tell you one more thing, because I realize we've been talking a long time and I've taken up a lot of your time.
I didn't even realize we've just been chatting it up.
Yes. One more thing. They just reminded me, I need to say this to you, because you said something about being on Archangel Michael's team. Mm-hmm. Now, Archangel Michael has been in my life from before I can remember, before I can even have a notion of Archangel Michael. His legions of angels have always been looking after me. Right? So there's a lot of, that's loaded if you imagine that if you're part of that team. Okay.
how we found each other, I guess.
That's right. Also, Archangel Metatron has come into my space in the last maybe 10 years, and Archangel Metatron has always been there. And I am a blueprinter, and I don't normally say these things straight out about myself. I'm a blueprinter, and that means I was just given this in the last maybe 2 months. That means, but my level in the blueprint is, as being a blueprinter, is I go and do all the things that I've been left undone or shoddily done. So we have things like human trafficking and child abuse and animal abuse. And I go and do that sort of healing and cleaning in my energy, in my sleep space. Right. So coming into this, Archangel Metatron is working with me I'm working with Archangel Metatron because Archangel Metatron, in my first time that I came into any kind of contact about Archangel Metatron, he is there to heal children. And I say he, but it doesn't have to, I'm just using he because I use he. Children and animals. He brings healing and restoration to children and animals, and in abuse situations, etc. So I have that. But I want to say, I've always thought that I'm part of Commander Ashta's fleet as well. So I have been in many parts of the galaxy. I've done a lot of work in that. I don't know how I know that, but I know that, right? In the last 3 weeks, I was told, and I'm saying this specifically for you because you've just told me you're part of Archangel's Metatron's angelic squad. I'm calling them that. You didn't use those words.
Blue crew. Just kidding.
The blue crew. Hey, the blue crew is awesome.
Sounded fun.
Excuse me. The blue crew is awesome because remember the Arcturians are blue too, right? We are the blue part of the blue crew. Right. So this last 3 weeks, I've heard this, and this isn't now me saying this publicly because I was trying to process it. And today I feel I need to say this. And so I was told that I'm actually, right now I work with the Arcturians. I am an Arcturian commander. I have my own fleet.
I'll tell you something off camera.
Amanda, I want you to think about that when you say you're part of a fleet. I want you to think about whether you are one of them that's following a commander, because for a lot of my life, I believe I was part of, and I probably was, and now I've changed, and now I have my Arcturian fleet that I am a commander of. The universe.
Oh, I think I know what you're saying.
I want you to think about that.
There's so many people back there because
I want you to think about
beings,
that.
Whatever. Yeah.
That's right. Okay. I want you to think about that, and I want you to come into your place. Assume your place. There is nothing conceited about this. This is saying the work you have done, faithful, true being that you are.
Yeah, I mean, I just like to tell people too, like, it doesn't matter.
It's not hierarchy.
What role you're playing, every single little piece of everything, every role every person is playing, it all fits together and it's all important.
Absolutely.
But figuring out like who you are though too, and remembering who you are is an important part of the process. And there's like no ego tied to it. It's trying to remember because none of this stuff makes sense.
No.
So, yeah.
What I want to add to that, I'm conscious of time, but I want to add to this. I might be that commander of this fleet, but I'm a different kind of commander is what I was told. I am the kind of commander I am here on Earth and how I love on Earth. I love all my people on that fleet, apparently. I love them, and I am encouraging them to use all their strengths, and I am bringing them for anything they want to do and they want to exercise. I am bringing them to it. So commander doesn't mean I'm the one in charge, but you think about what I'm doing on Earth right now with this channel of mine.
Yeah, you're just keeping everybody, you're the glue. You're keeping everybody together.
So commander doesn't have to mean I'm in charge. I am the one that the buck stops with. I am here to bring I am here to bring all of you to yourselves, as in because I've taken my journey, and I am here for you to see who you are in terms of your strength. and to be the conduit that holds your hand and bring you through here. This is nothing. And do you see any authority in that, or do you see service in that? Because I see service and love in that. I don't see,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It feels very, very much so like all hands on deck. That's been like what I keep hearing the past probably month. All hands on deck. Come on, guys, all hands on deck. Let's go.
Yeah. And I am here to be the messenger that tells everybody else about you, what you're doing, so they know it's available. Remember, we're about to go through a big, big awakening.
Yeah.
And we must be ready for those souls that are ready to come into their place. They're going to be confused. They're going to be surprised. They're going to be shocked. Whatever it's going to take. That's right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's what we're coming to. Okay, right. Thank you so much.
All taking turns. Thank you so much. It was lovely chatting with you, Rose.
Yes, great. And please come back. I think
beautiful
you're coming
energy.
Back. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're coming back.
Yes. What should we do next time?
Whatever you want to do, whatever you've been asked to do, let's do it, because they are the guides. All right. So thank you, everyone. Amanda, before we say goodbye, just remind everybody where you can be contacted, all your social media, please, everything.
All my social media across the board is at Higher Self Perspective, and my website is higherselfperspective.com. My email is higherselfperspective@gmail.com. And you can leave comments anywhere on my social media if you have questions, or you can just email me directly. Some things are a little too personal to post on social media, things that you're curious about. But yeah, if you have any questions about your healing journey, or just let me know. Just send me an email, leave me a comment somewhere, and let's chat. I also have, I'll give you my Telegram group link, because I think that is our, I don't know, it's like our beautiful little place on the internet. Everyone is so, I love all of them in there. So I'll give that to you to maybe put in the description of this video.
Absolutely. I was looking at it last night, and I think you're right. It's quite a beautiful community you've got going there. All right.
Small but mighty.
Thank you so much, Amanda. I am so blessed to have had you here on the channel with me today. Wow, I'm transformed.
I'm so glad you found me. Thank you, Z. I think we found each other through Z's Telegram.
Thank you, Z. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
Have a great evening. Bye, guys. Nice meeting you all.
Bye-bye. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye.